Hello everybody, Cub here, welcome back. Today, Who Asked Part 2, where you all ask questions, that means you, and that means I have to answer them, unfortunately. No, it's actually a good thing. Let's get started. I'm going to be very brief about this because there are a lot of questions, and let's just get into it. Where are the questions? I'm not prepared. I made a folder with them all in it. Wave Jordan asks, if you weren't doing YouTube, what would you be doing and why? I would probably be working in a planetarium as an astronomer, as I have a degree in astronomy and physics. I could be working at some type of research institute, doing astrophysical and astronomical research at an institution. Clickwell asks, do you already have an idea what your theme/builds will be for next season? If not, when do you start thinking about that stuff? I actually do, believe it or not, have a theme and build I would like to use for next season, which probably will not be for a while. Typically, I don't really think about what I'm going to build going into a season, but occasionally I'll have some general idea of what I want to do. For instance, in Season 7, I had a general idea of a pyramid in mind, and that eventually became the Great Pyramid of Giza, but also with mini-golf. Very important to have mini-golf in the Great Pyramid. Next question asks, are you considering running other speedrunning categories, or maybe trying to take and hold onto as many in the category you are doing now? I think there was a word that was missing there. I am considering running other speedrun categories. So right now, on Twitch, I do a lot of live streaming of speedruns. I do 80% runs, which are runs to slay the dragon, minerals runs, cake runs, and hero of the village runs. I think those are going to be the main categories I keep running. I may also do all advancements at some point. I would like to achieve all my goals first. I've achieved all my goals in every category except for 80%, which I am still working toward and hopefully will accomplish soon. Do you ever go back and visit your definitive Let's Play world for memories and inspiration? Why, yes. Yes, I do. Do you feel that you accomplished the goal for the year that you set for yourself in the last Who Asked video? It was, quote, try a lot of new things, fail a lot, but find something that succeeds tremendously. I think so. We failed a lot, and we improved a lot at the game. We set a few world records in speedrunning. We tried a lot of new things on the channel, a lot of different things. So I'm going to say yes. Spoon says, howdy Cub, what's your favorite non-Minecraft game, and is there a game you want to play but haven't found the time for? My favorite non-Minecraft game is probably Red Dead Redemption, because it's so detailed and so incredibly beautiful at times that it almost boggles my mind. Just to give you an example of how detailed the game is, when people cut food in Red Dead Redemption, their food, when they pick it up with the fork or spoon and put it in their mouth, it actually picks up the piece that they cut, puts it on the fork, and then they take it to their mouth. And they cut another piece, and it cuts that specific piece off. It's insane. I don't understand how they did it. I can't believe that has not been I'm just, my mind is actually melting from how good it is. What has been the hardest project you've done so far in Minecraft? This is going to sound really weird, but the tunnel to the golf course in Season 6 was by far my hardest project. Not the golf course itself, which, was a full-length, distance realistic golf course, but the tunnel to the golf course was the hardest part of that. The reason being is I decided to keep the same height that the tunnel started at all the way through, as well as the design aspects. And there was not many blocks for me to stand on to dig it out. And there was a ton of terracotta needed, ton of nether blocks I had to dig out by hand. It was a huge project. I think it was several thousand blocks long, because I wanted people to get to specific holes and have access to jumping around the course if they needed to. So that was probably the hardest project. It was also not a very creative project. It was just a lot of digging and placing and this place, and without much thought to the design. So I think that added to it. But for whatever reason, that always stands out in my mind as something that was insanely hard to do. Helian asks, do you have a memory that specifically stuck with you throughout your career in content creation? Either good, bad, funny, interesting, etc. I would say probably meeting people at conventions, whether that is fellow creators like the Hermits, for instance, or fans, and just talking with people there at the conventions about the game, Minecraft, or other games, or just life in general. Those are probably some of my favorite memories, you know, hanging out with people at Minecon 2016 in LA, or in 2015 in London, or 2018 in Boston. Those are some great memories. We had a lot of good times at those places. Just basically meeting people who you met online and only knew through online, through a computer screen, and just getting to interact with them for real. When it comes to editing video, do you think cuts or transitions are more fancy/distracting? I would say that transitions are much more distracting, personally. If you think about it, most media, movies, TV shows, they will always, or almost always, hard cut. The reason being is it's because it's less jarring than putting in a transition effect. And when you do see transition effect, the transition effect usually signifies something. So for instance, if it's a dream sequence, you might see the screen start to wobble, for instance, if someone's like falling asleep or they got knocked out. If you see the screen sort of pixelate a little bit, that could mean time passing. So I feel like transitions are great if you use them where appropriate. But for the most part, use cuts because they're actually less jarring and they're more commonly accepted throughout a wider range of media. As far as my preferred building style, what I would describe that as, I don't really know, because I make it a point, and actually kind of to the point of obsessing over it, I make it a point to not do builds the same as I've done in the past. Now, that's not to say I haven't pulled techniques from neoclassical architecture, modern architecture, Victorian architecture, and even what I would call like natural and or like ancient architecture. But the builds I've made are so diverse and unique. I think the only overarching theme is that I typically use a lot of color in builds. But as far as an actual genre, I actually don't know what I would classify it as. I try very, very, very hard to not stick to one building style or type. I think that's boring. I think that's dumb. A lot of people fall victim to it. Even the really good people who are great at building, they build the same style over and over and over again. I like to mix it up. What extreme sport would you like to try? Paragliding, rock climbing, bungee jumping, etc. I'm not sure if I consider this an extreme sport, but I would really like to try the bobsled in the Winter Olympics. You know, when you get in the sled and you go down and you're going around the turns in the ice tunnel. Oh my God. That looks like so much fun. Any tips on how to grow my YouTube channel as a smaller YouTuber? Love your content. Thank you so much, Tourism Gaming. The 3 tips I have fun, make quality videos, and collaborate. Those are the 3 things you need. So if you're having fun, people are going to realize you're having fun. It's going to make the videos more fun. And you're going to want to make more videos because they're fun. So fun is number 1. Number 2, you got to make good videos. So you got to know what you're talking about. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you have to have a general idea of what you're doing, right? So, for instance, don't play a game that you know nothing about unless you want to do that. I mean, that can also be part of the fun aspect. You have to sort of weigh the two. So make good quality videos that people want to watch, basically. And the third thing is collaborate. So get together with people, channels around your size, or friends who also want to make YouTube videos, and collaborate with them. Lighting Aussie asks, why is milk the only bucket of liquid that you can't empty out on the ground? I think you know why. Butterfly Girl asks, if you could add any one feature from modded Minecraft into vanilla Minecraft, what would it be? It has got to be, for the love of God, it has got to be Elytra patterns. Has got to be a mod, and it has got to be added to the game at some point, man. I'm so insanely, confused. What is even going on with the armor trim? They literally added armor trim, but the Elytra is still a gray blob. What's your favorite part about content creation? I like inspiring others to do incredible things. That's why I make videos. That's why I started making videos in the first place, and why I continue to make videos now. Thunder's Fun asks, do you ever just walk around in older Hermitcraft worlds just for the memories? Sometimes. I really enjoy doing that with the other Hermits, because we can sort of reminisce about the past and what we did together in certain locations and at certain times, and that's a great thing to do. I'd like to do more of that in the future, but yeah, I do go back to old Hermitcraft worlds on occasion, just for the memories. What's the most interesting space fact you know? Probably the fact that there are more stars in the sky than there are grains of sand on all the beaches in all the world. Bander Sir asks, will you ever do a recap of an event that you participated in? That is a great idea, actually. I should be doing that, and I have not been doing that. I would actually like to do that for the X Games event we participated in recently. You guys might have seen that on ESPN if you were watching the X Games from Aspen, Colorado. There was a brief Minecraft segment that was on there, which featured me and a bunch of other creators. And I'd like to get that up on the channel soon. Perhaps I'll do a recap of that. So thank you for the idea, Bander Sir. Appreciate it. Sunraven asks, what is a build/thing you've always wanted to do in MC but never have? I would say build something that is intentionally as ugly as it could possibly be. So that when someone asks or states, wow, that build is really ugly, you can say, oh my god, thank you so much. What type of music do you listen to when you're not speedrunning? I listen to pop rock and synthwave music, as well as remixes of very old songs, like remixes of classic songs. Do you regret that the Mega Grind has become synonymous with your channel? Not one bit. In fact, I'm a little bit disappointed that people consider it a Mega Grind, things that I've done, because I don't think it's a Mega Grind at all. I think everything I've done has been really creative, and people who consider it a Mega Grind just need to get good and spend more time in the game. You just gotta get on my level, man. That's all it is. Donna Ratliff asks, if you could add a new mechanic to Total Chaos that isn't available to you now, what would it be? That's an easy question, actually. The thing I would add would be the ability for Dripstone to slay a player whenever it collided with their entity hitbox, rather than when it collides with the ground and a player is also standing on the block. That would allow me to, instead of using just honey on the floor, like only honey, that would allow me to build whatever I wanted in the space below Total Chaos. So I could have a bunch of terrain and trees and, whatever in the arena, and not have to just worry about honey so that players stay grounded and take damage from the dripstone. That would be an amazing mechanic, I think, in the game, and I'm kind of surprised that they didn't do it that way. So Ryan asks, I've enjoyed watching you a lot and was wondering if Convex will ever return someday. Thanks for all the streams and videos. Thank you so much, Ryan. I'm glad you enjoy them. I think that is definitely possible that the Convex could return one day. In fact, perhaps that day is today. Is there a Hermit currently active on the server that you have not yet pranked, and what is your plan to remedy this tragic oversight? Great question. I think that we have not yet pranked Pearlescent Moon. I think that's the only person we have not yet pranked. And yes, you are correct. We do need to make a plan to remedy that tragic oversight. So I will get on that immediately. Thank you. Enfys asks, what is your favorite celestial object? It has got to be the sun. What's it like seeing other content creators who started around the same time as you turn out to be horrible people? And did you ever meet any famous YouTubers before or after they got famous? Good questions. For those people who turned out to be horrible people, it sucks to suck. Those people always sucked. They remain sucking, and they will continue to suck for the future. And yeah, I don't really care about them because that ain't me. Did I ever meet any famous YouTubers before or after they got famous? I met some Hermits before they really took off. Like Tango and Impulse, I think I met them in 2015 in London. Same with Ren and Iskall in London in 2015. I met Doc in 2013. Doc and B-Dubs actually in 2013 after they were pretty famous already from Minecraft fame. And a bunch of other Minecraft guys around that same time. I think that's basically it though. No other YouTubers really. Mr. Crash Panda TW, favorite TV show. My favorite TV show is Breaking Bad because it was great and then it ended. It ended at the right moment. It didn't overstay its welcome, and it had really interesting, dynamic characters, and nearly every episode had something important that happened that drove the story forward.
You're goddamn right.
Fripples asks, how do we find the volume of a black hole? That's the joke. You don't. Haha, because they have no volume. Technically, they have no volume. But if you mean, how do you find the event horizon, which could kind of, sort of, not really though, be considered a volume, quote unquote, you'd use the equation for the Schwarzschild radius to find how, like, what the radius is of the event horizon, where nothing can escape. Harris asks, did you know that holding a looting 3 sword in your main hand and a good bow in your other, the bow actually uses the eluding enchantment from the sword? I did know that, Harris. Thank you. Appreciate you. Didn't know why you asked that, but I knew. I know. Wrecked My Boys says, will we ever see the return of Concor? The question you really should be asking is, did it ever really go away? Man on Fire asks, alright, ranch or ketchup? I'm going with ketchup. It's a much more diversified condiment, much greater variety of uses with the ketchup. Ketchup number 1, ranch number 2. That's the way it is. 715 says, always consider your opinions. Sometimes think you might be forgetting that not all of us can play 24/7. What's your opinion about the ongoing trend over the last few years to make endgame content more time-consuming or difficult? Ancient Debris, Deep Dark, etc. I think it's actually good, but I imagine that some people don't think that. The reason I say that is because not only have people gotten better in general in Minecraft over the years, they've also learned how to play at a higher level. That is, people know now that on basically any world, you can dig down to instantly upgrade your tools from wood to stone, for instance. They also know the exact right level to mine for iron and diamond and gold and all the other minerals and netherite even. And so that gameplay aspect, which might have been fun before where people were unsure, especially when the game was new, back in 2011, 2012, 2013, when people were still figuring this stuff out, that information was nowhere to be found. But now with all the information we have and all the YouTube videos being made and all the theories being tested and all the tools that we have now to optimize things, I feel like it's necessary to add on more to the end game because the early game has sort of been optimized in a way that the majority of players are now much better at it. It does still mean that there is a high learning curve for new players, but they've been adding things there as well that have that does sort of accelerate the learning curve for those new players as well. Plus, they have all the old content too, and all the old videos and all the old and a lot of the players honestly still around to tell people the best way to do things, which helps. So I think that Minecraft Endgame is still in desperate need of more things, but I think those things are actually more obtainable than they were in the past. What is the most suspicious Grian kill you've had this year? Believe it or not, we've killed Grian a few times this year. The most suspicious time, though, was when we actually killed Grian's patients on Empire's SMP. This was in the Hermitopia area. You can see we're at the Hermitopia ground floor level, and here's Grian coming on by, and wouldn't you know it, a creeper drops in and sends Grian to the moon. That is some serious height that Grian got there. And it also destroyed the chest nearby. Now, I was actually right below Grian when this happened. This actually made it into one of my Empire's episodes. And yeah, Grian was not happy about this, nor were the other hermits happy about all the dark spots that were left, mostly because I had removed all the torches and replaced them with soul torches because we had to spread the skulk and spread the souls, of course, at this point. But that is the most suspicious Grian kill because it killed his patients for basically having no lights in the Hermitopia area. To Boop the Snoot asks, do you think Minecraft needs a mashed potato block? Okay. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Absolutely yes. Noxie asks, what's your all-time favorite Pokemon starter? I know absolutely zero about Pokemon, so I'm going to just say Charizard. Because that's one of like 3 I know. But it's also the correct answer. Mist asks, how do you feel about being voted the most chaotic hermits? I wouldn't have it any other way, to be honest. And to be amongst such legends as Beetlejuice Joe and Maid Zedaf is truly, honestly, an honor. And Jay Donut asks, are you really Cub fan though? Like, are you sure you're not just a different hermit in disguise? You got me. So that is the end of Who Asked, and apparently some people asked, and I tried my best to answer here. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, you know what to do. I'm not going to keep repeating it and telling you to subscribe, even though I should, and now I'm directing you to do that. Please go and subscribe. Please go and like. Please share. Please do this. Please do that. Hand motion, and now the video is done.